The Chicken Farmer Who Fooled Hitler, the tale of Agent Garbo. Imagine a man so brilliant at deception that he received the Iron Cross from Adolf Hitler and the Member of the Order of the British Empire, MBE, from King George VI for the exact same work. This is not the story of a trained killer or a seasoned diplomat. It is the story of Juan Pujol García, a balding, unassuming chicken farmer from Spain who hated fascism with such intensity that he decided to end World War II with nothing but a typewriter, a tourist guidebook, and a boundless imagination. In 1941, as Europe burned, Pujol approached British intelligence in Madrid, offering his services as a spy. They took one look at the eccentric Spaniard and promptly rejected him. Undeterred, he tried again and again. After being rejected by the Allies 3 times, Pujol decided on a strategy that was as insane as it was genius. If the British wouldn't let him be a spy for them, he would become a spy for the Nazis first. Pujol successfully convinced the German intelligence agency, the Abwehr, that he was a fanatical pro-Nazi government official who could travel easily to London. The Germans were thrilled. They handed him invisible ink, a code book, and cash, instructing him to move to England and recruit a network of agents. Pujol, however, did not go to London. He went to Lisbon, Portugal. From a cheap hotel room in Lisbon, armed only with a tourist guide to Britain, a map of England, and outdated train timetables he found at the local library, Pujol began his masterpiece. He invented a fictional persona, a fearless master spy operating out of London. He began sending reports to Berlin that were completely fabricated. He described troop movements he had never seen and naval fleets that didn't exist. His reports were so detailed and dramatically written that the Germans believed every word. The British intelligence service, MI5, eventually intercepted these messages. They were baffled. Who was this man in London sending the Germans false information? They launched a manhunt to find him, only to realize he wasn't in Britain at all. Realizing his potential, they smuggled him into England in 1942 and gave him the code name Garbo because he was the greatest actor in the world. Now backed by the resources of MI5, Garbo's operation went from a solo act to a symphony of lies. He didn't just fake reports, he faked people. Over the next 2 years, Garbo created a network of 27 entirely imaginary sub-agents. There was a Welsh nationalist, a Venezuelan student, a loose-lipped American soldier, and even a disgruntled Gibraltarian waiter. Garbo wrote hundreds of letters in different handwriting styles, creating distinct personalities and backstories for people who existed only in his mind. The Germans were paying the salaries for all 27 of them, unaware they were funding a ghost army. The climax of this grand deception came in 1944 during the preparations for D-Day. The Allies needed to land in Normandy, but they had to convince Hitler the attack would come at the Pas-de-Calais, the narrowest point of the English Channel. Garbo played the leading role in Operation Fortitude. He fed the Germans information about a massive buildup of forces in southeastern England, commanded by the terrifying General George S. Patton. This army, the first U.S. Army group, FUSAG, was complete with inflatable tanks, wooden airplanes, and fake radio traffic. Garbo convinced the German High Command that the Normandy landing was merely a diversion, a trap to draw German panzers away from the real invasion site at Calais. The deception was so effective that even after thousands of American and British troops stormed the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944, Hitler refused to move his best armored divisions to the fight. He kept 2 entire armored divisions and 19 infantry divisions waiting at the Pas-de-Calais for an invasion that would never come. In a final stroke of genius, at 3 a.m. on D-Day, Garbo sent a message to his German handlers intended to arrive just as the invasion started. However, the German radio operator was asleep and missed the call. When he finally answered hours later, Garbo berated him for his laziness and incompetence, shouting, via Morse code, that his negligence jeopardized the Third Reich. This angry outburst solidified the Germans' trust in him completely. They felt so guilty about missing his call that they never questioned his loyalty. Weeks later, while American soldiers were pushing through the hedgerows of France, Hitler authorized the Iron Cross for Juan Pujol García for his extraordinary services to Germany. 6 months later, he received the MBE from Britain. Juan Pujol García faded into obscurity after the war, faking his own death to escape potential Nazi retribution and moved to Venezuela to run a gift shop. It wasn't until decades later that the world learned how a chicken farmer with a typewriter saved thousands of American lives by selling the Nazis a reality that simply did not exist.